That's why I'm doing mine. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. It's amazing. When I look at this house, those windows back there. When I went through this side, they look kind of scary. So I can't wait to get this one done. Everybody told me it was like living in that.
Hello, welcome to the Community Development Committee. We generally meet on the second and fourth meetings, Mondays of each month. I'm Jessica Lotz and I represent Ward 2. I'm the chairman for this committee, and leading us we have several staff members. We have City Administrator Walter Denton, we have Assistant City Administrator Grant Lidekin, and we've got our Director of Community Development, Greg Anderson. Looking over the agenda, it looks like we have 5 items that we'll be voting on tonight. Any votes taken are advisory only. All items will move on to the full council for consideration. Anyone wishing to make comments will have several opportunities to do so tonight. After each item is presented and discussed, I'll ask if the committee has any questions, then I'll ask for the council, and then I'll ask if there are any comments from the public. And then there's also an opportunity at the end of the meeting for anyone from the public wishing to make public comments. They can do that. Public comments are welcome, and anyone speaking has 5 minutes to tell us what they'd like. Please state your name and if you're a resident. Please address comments to the council and not to individual staff members or members of the public. And our goal is to answer questions that are asked, but even though we have very knowledgeable people in this room, sometimes questions are asked that require a little bit more research, so we're happy to take that question and get back to people. And with that, let's get a roll call. Greg?
Lotz.
Here.
Roach.
Here.
Rosenberg.
Present.
Parchman. Mylart.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we have quorum. The first 3 items requiring sort of council action are all items that are on the agenda as second readings, which means they have gone through Planning Commission, they went through this committee, then they went to full council, now they're back to this committee, and then they can go on to full council for a second and final reading. So we have ordinance, 2.1. No changes?
There are no changes. Are we going to approve the minutes first?
I'm sorry.
No, you're
You sure
fine.
can.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion for approve the minutes from last meeting?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We make a great team. All righty, item 2.1. This is an ordinance amending Ordinance 623, zoning development known as Old Collinsville Road, Pinewood Village Commercial Lot, generally located at 6004 Old Collinsville Road. This is a second reading and there are no changes proposed. Any
That is
comments
correct.
from the council or
No,
committee?
ma'am.
Council? Public? Alrighty, 2.2. It's the, for the same development, this would be amending the future land use map. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Council? Public? All right, and then 2.3 is the development known as Full Circle Automotive, second reading. Any questions from the committee? Council? Public? Alrighty, those will move on to the full council for final consideration next week. Item 3.1 is a special event permit request for City Fest at the community park. Greg?
Thank you. This application is from the City Fest Committee. The liaison is Bob Keeker, who submitted the application. The event will be held at Community Park on Friday, August 22nd from 4 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. and is scheduled for Saturday, August 23rd from 8 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Looking at their proposed City Fest schedule, and this is all taken from the application, on Wednesday, August 20th and Thursday, August 21st, carnival rides and amusements will be delivered to Community Park and set up by the amusement company. This will be in conjunction working with Parks and Rec as they do arrive. During that time, community development inspectors will also go out and inspect the rides 24 hours before they open to the public. On Friday, August 22nd, by 3:30 p.m., local food and beverage vendors and games will all be set up for the 4 o'clock p.m. open. So that will be, the event at that time will be open to the public. That'll be the amusements, food and beverages, and entertainment. And the event will conclude on Friday night at 10 o'clock p.m. On Saturday, August 23rd, Bike Surgeon is hosting a triathlon at 8 o'clock a.m. Also happening from 8 o'clock a.m. to 3:30 p.m. is a Memorial Classic Car Show. At 11 o'clock a.m. on Saturday, the event will open to the public in terms of the amusements, food and beverages, and entertainment. At 4 o'clock p.m. on the 23rd, the parade will begin. The parade route is from Lincoln and Wesley. It'll go south to 7th Street, a left at Parkview Drive, right on East 5th Street to South Apple Street, and a left on South Apple to East First, where they will disassemble all of the floats at the Vine Street Market. At 8 o'clock p.m., the event will be closed to the public, and that'll be all operations, the amusements, food and beverages, and entertainment. These are the staff recommendations as staff reviewed the proposed application for City Fest. Per public safety, all events shall cease operation by 8 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. So the Public Safety Department did have conversations with the City Fest Committee. They agreed that it would be open at 10 o'clock till 10 o'clock on Friday and close at 8 o'clock on Saturday. All carnival rides will be registered with the state of Illinois. Inspection stickers must be visible to the inspectors, and inspections will be done by city staff 1 day in advance of the event. Any vendor selling liquor will need to apply for a special event liquor license no later than 2 weeks prior to the event. Food trucks will need to be permitted throughout the city. If they do not have one, they will be required to apply with the city clerk's office. And the Public Safety Department will coordinate with local weather outlets to monitor any potential inclement weather. And if one does such arise, they have the right to suspend or end the event. And that is my presentation.
Alrighty, thank you for that. Before we have a discussion, is there a motion for 3.2?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any questions from the committee?
So I have, pardon me, I have more of a comment than a question, because I'm certain I know the answer. We've taken into account the 10 o'clock on Friday night being later than, that's when the troubles in other events have happened.
Historically, we have not had as many actually not had problems on Friday nights, and then looking back at other events, Friday nights have been a slower night. There's a blue gold game that night at the O'Fallon High School. Generally, what we've seen is that there are a lot more things going on throughout the area for the unsupervised youth, the high school age kids, because a lot of them have the football season starting in those Friday nights. So that was something that we were willing to do, is allow that to go till 10. We believe we can, we're confident we can get through that safely.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Anything else from the committee? Anything from the council? Any questions from the public? Yes, please.
Vern Miller, Ward 3. I was just wondering, I guess there is a map that shows where this is going to all occur in the park. Is that correct? It's all on the paperwork in there. You didn't show any portion of it. I was wondering if you could pull that up.
I don't have the ability to pull it up. Whenever it's presented on the screen, as you can probably see when you did pull it up on Board Docs, it's not a very clear image
Okay,
of the
okay.
site plan that was
Well,
included.
My concern is about the other vendors that you're possibly going to have. There's different vendors that were at other events of the City Fest, and I just don't see any drawings in that. All it just says food and vendors. It doesn't say what the vendors are or where they're be placed at. I'd like to have some sort of a drawing showing where individual organizations can be able to be set up at. Not only that, if not, maybe they could utilize the pavilion and put some of those individuals in there where they wouldn't be in the sun so much, and they maybe wouldn't have to provide their own tents or whatever, because there's no pavilions that the city has said they're going to put up, the 3 pavilions that they purchased and now are not going to install. If I'm correct, or you're wrong, correct me, but you spent $180,000 for those 3 buildings according to your paperwork that I have. I just was wondering what kind of protection you offering to people who have other vendors, like the ones that provide food, like I believe the couple organizations have their fish fries or whatever. The Historical Society has a booth set up. The monument people, they have a booth set up. And I believe the Daughters of the Revolution have a booth they would generally set up. And I don't see any consideration for where they are to be at, or if notice is going to be posted sometime soon about that. I don't know. I mean, individuals would like to be aware of that. I placed a call to Mr. Keeker, and I didn't get a response back today, so I don't know who you need to talk to find out about this, but I'd appreciate some information in that regard.
Okay.
And I thank you for your time.
Sure, appreciate the comment. The city's role in this is to look at the logistics from a governance standpoint and from a special event permit standpoint. The logistics in terms of requests for vendors and maps and who gets approved, that responsibility falls to the City Fest Committee. And so that, you've reached out to the right person, and hopefully you get some adequate responses to that. Any other questions?
There is a list of food and beverage vendors. I updated the website yesterday. As far as the map goes, I'm not involved with that plan, but I do know if you do place someone on the map, they're bound to be moved, especially with the parks, kind of reconstruction. So it's kind of hard to map that out. But if you go to OfallenCityFest.com, we'll have a list of vendors for food and beverage at the very least. Not everything that you were concerned about, but at least some.
All the food will be in the pavilion.
All the food will be in the pavilion.
One food truck that will be next to the pavilion.
All right.
All the other ones will be in there. The other ones that he was interested in will be scattered out through there. There's not a set plan right now.
Okay.
It's finishing up the park.
And as far as those other vendors, I've worked at least with one of the secretaries on theirs. That'll get released a little bit closer to that.
Okay, noted. Any other questions? All right, we will take a roll call vote.
Roach,
Yes.
Rosenberg,
Affirmative?
Parchman, Mylart,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Lotz.
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty, so that will go on to the full council a week from tonight. All righty, item 3.2 is a use variance request for the property located at 212 East State Street. Use variances are not things that we generally see in council very often. I think this is our third, maybe, since 2017. So, Greg, you have a presentation for us?
I do, thank you. This is a use variance. A decision has been made by the zoning hearing officer, and the variance application is to replace an accessory structure that exceeds the B1P Planned Community Business Zoning District Regulations, The petition summary: the applicant is Ned Drollet of Ned's Properties LLC, East State. The location is 212 East State Street. This is home to, the current tenant is Boarding House Bistro. They operate in this location. The request is a use variance to allow the replacement of an accessory structure that exceeds zoning requirements. Specifically, it exceeds the minimum setback requirements and the maximum lot coverage for this zoning district. Just going over a brief land use and some background information, the commercial structure fronts East State Street. There is a small outdoor seating area in the front of the building. There's a larger seating area located at the rear adjacent to the public building, which is the photo on the left. The existing shed is placed next to the existing garage in the rear outdoor seating area. It is close to the adjacent abutting property as well as the garage and within of close proximity to the primary structure. Looking at the building history, the building is 4,000 square feet and it was built in 1910. This was before zoning codes were established. The property has a 768 square foot garage and a 50 square foot shed, both built in 1985. So you can see that the shed is in disrepair and Ned is looking to replace that. The business that is currently there, Boarding House Bistro, received a planned use approval change in 2020 by City Council, but this was only for permitting food consumption, liquor sales, carry-out food and packaged liquor. It did not provide any variance for a replacement of an accessory structure. So where Ned is he has a property with the shed in disrepair that has been there for 40 years, and he's asking for a use variance to vary from those two, the lot coverage and minimum setbacks, to replace that shed with a larger one. The existing shed serves a practical role in supporting the bistro's operation. They use it for dry storage. They have a concern that they are very limited on storage for the business. It currently does not meet zoning ordinance requirements for lot coverage. The current lot coverage is 65.9%. He is wanting to take down this shed and replace it with a slightly larger shed, a 10 by 12, which would increase the lot coverage to 66.8%. And it does not meet the minimum setbacks, the rear yard for 12 feet, and that would be the side yard and in proximity to the garage as well. This is the type of shed that Mr. Drolet is looking to replace the existing one with. It would have to meet our commercial design guidelines, essentially stating that this would not be, and it would not be metal sided. It would also meet the aesthetics of the existing building. Staff looked at the proposal and came to the following analysis. The proposed variance does not introduce a new use or an intensity of use. The impact would be minimal on the surrounding properties. It's located at the rear property, and it does not interfere with pedestrian access, parking, or public safety. The request is not an attempt to overdevelop the property, but to continue utilizing a small, already developed commercial parcel in a manner that aligns with its historical context and its current commercial function. We did have a zoning hearing officer meeting last Tuesday, and based on the evidence and testimony presented by the hearing officer, he recommended that the petitioner's request for the variance to allow for the replacement of this accessory structure to be granted, subject to commercial design guidelines. With that being said, in terms of city council action and review, the city council has 21 days to decide whether to exercise its power of administrative review of the hearing officer's decision. The city council can affirm that variance request or variance granted, reverse it, or modify it in whole or in part, which is the decision of the hearing officer. So if the city council chooses to seek that path, here is what that would look like. First, based on our code, the discussion item would be held at the committee meeting tonight. We would ultimately decide, well, regardless of the discussion tonight, and there will be an agenda item on next Monday's meeting under Community Development Committee reports. It'll state 212 East State Street for a use variance. At that time, City Council can take no action. If they do not take any action at next Monday's meeting, the hearing officer's decision will stand and will automatically go into effect. If the City Council wishes to exercise the review of the hearing officer's decision, a motion will need to be made and seconded to review the exercise. It will take a simple majority of those present to approve the review of the decision. If approved, which then will come back to committee on August 11th, we can have a discussion, the committee, and council can have a discussion on how they would like to either approve that in whole or in part, modify or reverse that decision. At that point, an ordinance would be placed on the August 18th City Council meeting, and it will take a simple majority, 8 votes, to approve, modify, or reject the zoning hearing officer's decision. And that is the conclusion of my presentation.
All righty, thank you, Greg. So this process is a little different. Ultimately, if the council agrees with the zoning hearing officer's ruling, and he has ruled that this shed should be allowed, this newer shed should be allowed, then we ultimately don't do anything. Is that correct? We don't vote to do anything.
Correct. So as stated, it'll be placed on the agenda under reports next week. If you would like it to stand and let the zoning hearing officer's decision to grant the variance, there will be no action taken on that item.
Gotcha. However, if you disagree, meaning you don't think the proposed shed should be allowed in the manner it's being allowed, maybe you want it smaller, maybe you want it to look different, be different, function different. If you want something other than what's been proposed, then you would want to vote, make a motion at the city council meeting next week to send this through the administrative review through council. And then at that point, it goes through the process Greg described. It comes back to this committee, it goes back to the full council. So it's a little different than how we normally do things, but basically if you agree with what's been proposed, we do not take action tonight nor next week. If you disagree, then you will want to make a motion next week.
That is correct. So on the agenda, it will actually say motion to review decision by zoning hearing officer, and we'll be very clear to state on there, no motion is needed, however, unless you want to modify it or revisit it.
Okay,
So we will be very clear in our language.
gotcha, thank you. So with that in mind, does any of the committee have questions about what's been proposed or the zoning hearing officer's ruling?
My only question is, because of the decreased setback from the adjacent commercial building, have they been contacted?
They have, and they have no issues with it being granted.
So I had a question. So, and I just, this is more for my understanding, but in order for there to be granted, there has to be a hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the hearing officer, they said the hardship was that it makes the business not viable. But they've been in business operating with the current shed for several years. Was there any, and the only reason I'm asking is because I'm worried about a precedent of what sets a hardship. Because could the next business come along and say, well, if I can't get a bigger building, well, that's a hardship, even though there's no economic, at least part of the review, there was nothing that showed that there was a true economic hardship.
So
But the shed, but they could replace it with the same size is what I'm getting at. They're asking for larger.
Right, so that's the process of the zoning hearing officer. They is a licensed attorney that goes through findings of fact. His ruling was that it was an economic hardship. We don't look at their books or,
No, I
determine that.
understand.
And so, I mean, if the council disagrees with that finding, that would be appropriate to revisit the issue.
And I'm not disagreeing, I'm just wondering, does that set any precedent for a future business arguing the same thing when it comes to setbacks or lot usage?
It's possible.
Yeah, potentially,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And in terms of a use variance, I mean, every single one would be dealt with by the zoning hearing officer on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the council?
The shed he's proposing, is it gonna set in where the old shed was set? I know it's bigger, but I mean, it's gonna set in the same.
Yes, sir. It'll be the exact same location. It will be closer to the primary commercial building.
Why is he wanting a bigger shed
Acco-
instead of the shed, same size shed? I'm assuming that the way this looks, it's falling apart, so he wants a new shed in there.
Correct. So Boarding House Bistro utilizes the shed for dry storage for their operations. According to Mr. Drolet, the shed's in disrepair, so it does leak. It has issues during weather, which could destroy the objects or whatever the storage is being utilized for. And Boarding House Bistro has a need for more storage for their operations, so he's looking to take the shed that is in disrepair and replace it with a larger one to meet the needs of Boarding House Bistro.
I imagine part of it probably has to do with the fact that Boarding House Bistro has expanded the footprint of their business over the years, and so maybe when they first started, the existing deteriorated shed probably to an extent met their needs, but now that they've grown, it's likely that a newer, bigger shed would be more accommodating, even though, like Alderman Roach said, they've gotten by. I agree with the zoning hearing officer's ruling. I read the report. Nobody has protested it, so I think it could create a precedence, but that's why we have the zoning hearing officer process. Like, he's very good at reviewing the nuances of each of those, and use variances are very hard to get. It's really unusual that a business comes into needing to even request one, because they're not normally eligible.
I believe in my 13 years, there's been 3.
I think this is the third one, yeah. Jimmy, did you have something? I don't know what the garage is used for. Nope. Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the public?
Burnmore, Ward 3, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. He has a smaller shed he wants to get rid of, and he replaced it with a little larger shed or whatever. Now, is this shed over 100 square foot? Is that what the problem is? Because I know you can build a shed in your yard as long as you space it out correctly without a permit or anything if it's under 100 square foot. Am I correct in that regard? Okay, so that would be approximately, say, a 8-foot by 12-foot would give you 96 square footage. You'd be under the 100 foot, so he'd have no problem. So because it's over 100 foot, he has to go through all this bells and whistles to jump through?
No, so he has to go through this process because of the lot coverage percentage this would add to, and the setbacks from the side yard.
Oh, so it's the green space that he's eating up. Is that what you're referring to?
It's total lot coverage.
Total lot coverage. That's why it has to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wouldn't help it even if it was under 100 square foot, right?
Other than if it kept the same size.
Correct. And there's a possibility when the original shed was built in 1985, there was not certain zoning requirements such as these we're visiting today. That is some quite time ago, so it's in disrepair. He planned on building a new one. I'm sure he probably talked to the tenant and they said, could it, we're running out of space. Could it be a little bit larger? And that is why he presented this option.
Okay, all right, so that's why even if it was 100, he'd still have to go through all the rigmarole.
Correct. You still have to meet zoning requirements.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you much for your time.
So we didn't mention that the zoning hearing officer kind of path that this is taken is very rare. It's when you have very specific changes in an appropriate zoning for the area. So obviously this is a business zoning or commercial zoning. Boarding House Bistro is a business, has been existing for a while. And so it's not like we're changing the zoning, it's just adding a little specific different language on the one-time user for this specific parcel. This doesn't open up, it could set a precedent, of course, anything could, but it doesn't open up every other property in O'Fallon to also have these allowed on them.
It's literally granting a special use for this one thing.
Correct.
Any other questions? All right, so we don't vote on this. We're just presenting it, and it will be on the agenda a week from tonight. Maybe for a motion, maybe not. All righty. Those are all the items that we had before us for business, so we will open it up for public comments.
Ron Zelms, Ward 6. All this discussion has nothing to do with the shed, but it kind of does. We use the word aesthetics. Every time I go home and I go south on Walnut, and I look at the structure, it's a house, I guess, that was put in on the southeast corner there of Walnut and 50. It looks like a single wide / double wide that's been dumped there. Is there, any discussion in City Hall at all to say, hey, that doesn't really fit the neighborhood either. We're worried about a shed behind a business, but, what can we do? It's my neighborhood, to prevent people from coming and putting I guess it's a house, that doesn't look like a house on a lot in a neighborhood that aesthetically just doesn't fit. Anyway, it doesn't have to be discussed tonight, but hopefully somebody in City Hall is taking a look at that. Thanks.
Thank you for that feedback. Any other public comments? All righty, we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, Public Works will start in 2 minutes.
All right, we'll call the Public Works meeting to order. No, it's good. They'll stop. Can I get a roll call, Jeff?
Rosenberg.
Present.
Phoney.
Here.
Force.
Here.
Carney.
Here.
Hudson.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
You have quorum.
Outstanding. First item is approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
A motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Question, concerns, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes passed. Item 2.1, Jeff, please.
Yes, 2.1 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with WHKS for unknown water service line inspections in the amount of $62,850. So this is really continuing upon our water service line inventory that was mandated by the Illinois EPA. We did complete the initial inventory. A lot of it was done utilizing historic records. So based on age of structures, we were able to rule out certain types of materials for service lines. We are still left with about 500 that we're calling unknown, where additional inspections need to occur, either surveys we send out to people, which sometimes we receive well, sometimes we get response, other times not. The next step really is what we see before you here, is actually going and performing physical inspections and visually seeing these lines determine what the material is. So that's what WHKS would provide with this agreement, and I'd recommend approval.
Outstanding. Are there any questions? Well, let me get a motion first, and then we'll,
So moved.
pardon me.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All right, any questions or concerns from the committee?
Is there a timeline on this?
So right now, we're kind of leaving it open just because it's going to take a lot of coordination. We're going to have to, we're not just going to show up at people's houses and ask to inspect these lines. They're going to have to call, reach out, set up appointments. The hope is to have it done before the next inventory is due to be submitted, which I believe is next April would be the goal. But if it rolls past that, we technically have 5 years to finalize our replacement plan. Realistically, as it is right now, we have not found any lead service lines that need replaced. Everything's been either copper or other materials, poly, galvanized. So the hope is we go and inspect all these and don't find any lead service lines and really don't have to do any replacements would be ideal. But until this is completed, we're not really going to know that.
Any others from the committee? From the council? Public? He's walking up there. This, you keep coming. It involves digging too, right? Not just people's?
The hope would be that we can gain access to people's homes and see where the line enters in through, whether it be the foundation wall, crawl space, something like that. But obviously, they would have to grant us access to be able to do that. If all else fails, then it would be, yes, potholing the line outside.
Go ahead, Vern.
Vern Moore, Ward 3. So you're referring to the pits where the meter sits is going to be your first point of checking to see what kind of line comes off your meter and goes to the home?
No, not necessarily, because inside the pit, you can't really see the line that's coming into the meter setter. So you actually have to dig up on either side of the pit to visually see that connection that's made to determine what the
Okay, so
material
you're
is.
trying to determine if they have copper from the meter into their house. Where it
Correct.
goes from there doesn't matter, is that correct?
Well, so the way the inventory works, you need to know the city side, so the side from the main to the meter, and also the customer side from the meter into the home. And they want to know actually what the material is coming into the home through, whether it be the foundation wall or anything like that, so.
So from the meter pit, the line in needs to be copper or something in that regard. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. We're just doing an inventory to determine what the material is.
Okay, so then that's all you need to know. You don't need to know what's in the house. If it's plastic or galvanized or whatever.
The internal home plumbing, we do not. It's really what the material is when it enters into the home.
Okay, all right, thank you much.
You're welcome. Any other questions from the public? All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Rosenberg,
Affirmative?
Phony,
Yes.
Vorse,
Yes.
Carney,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
All right, that will move forward to next Monday, city council meeting.
Thank you, sir. And 2.2, whenever you're ready.
Yes, 2.2 is a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an engineering services agreement with TWM Inc. for the Highway 50 shared use path from Hillgord Street to Recplex Drive project, and for the use of motor fuel tax funds, the amount of $273,683. So this is the Phase 1 engineering services to design a trail along Highway 50 from essentially Community Park out to the Recplex. This is the project that we recently received ITEP funding, that's through the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program, to fund $3 million of this project. Predominantly, that $300 million is going to go towards construction. So this first upfront cost of doing the engineering and really getting plans ready to bid it, the intent is to utilize local motor fuel tax funds to pay for that. And then when the time comes and we're ready to build it, that's where the $3 million worth of the ITEP funds would fund a portion of the construction. Typically, those grants are 80-20 matches. Realistically, our share is going to be greater than 20%. The $3 million is the absolute max they award, so we were awarded the maximum amount for the project. So again, this will really start all the engineering design work. They'll go out and do a topographic survey. They'll lay out conceptually where the trail is going to be. That will then help them determine if additional right-of-way needs to be acquired, things like that, to then move on to the next stage of finalizing the plans. So I would recommend approval of this agreement.
Thank you, sir. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns from the committee?
Mr. Carney, did you have all your questions answered that you had earlier?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I appreciate the effort you took to get my answers. Thank you.
I just want to say that I'm excited for this to get started. Even as a kid, those couple of blocks from the high school to the community park never made sense why there wasn't a sidewalk. So now that it'll get folks all the way out to the Recplex, I think this is overdue, and so I'm super excited to get this started.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback from folks that live out, on the east side of town, and they're really excited about this project. So, any questions or concerns from the rest of the council? Public?
Dave Pfeiffer, Deer Creek Road, 801. I just wonder why we're even doing this. Why is this a priority? Seven Hills Road, you've got a police station, the YMCA, a junior high school. I'm sure glad we're walking from the high school to the park. We can't get from the junior high over to the rest of O'Fallon without crossing the road twice on a road. We've got two crossings. Cars are rolling past there at 40 to 60 miles an hour. They don't stop. I've yet to have anybody stop out those crosswalks when I'm standing there in the crosswalk. I've seen junior high kids walking down on the west side of Seven Hills Road between the guardrail and 40-mile-an-hour traffic. And we can't complete the last 225 feet of Seven Hills Road that goes from Deer Creek Road over to the other side of the bridge. All those monies should be dedicated to this first. This should be the priority. This is a safety concern. And yet we're doing this, there's no sidewalks down in that area. You should have gone after Illinois money for this project and not that one. There's motor fuel tax involved, but I'm pretty sure it can be spent on this also. And that should be the priority. This should be put on hold until we get those last 225 feet completed across to connect us to the rest of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public?
Respond to that comment a little bit.
Certainly.
So this project was identified in both the citywide master plan, that Forward 50 plan, the bike trail master plan as one of the top priorities. It is a section of road that has no sidewalk on that side whatsoever. Again, it connects Community Park, the high school, the Recplex, many other destinations. So obviously, we've submitted grants for this multiple times. It was definitely warranted if the state is willing to fund it for $3 million. The project Mr. Pfeiffer is referring to, you have sidewalks on one side of the street or the other. I agree there are crosswalks to utilize them. That is another issue that the city council has made a priority to look at from a drainage perspective. And when that project's done and implemented, the pedestrian improvements will occur also.
Thank you, sir.
We have no sidewalk on the west side of Seven Hills Road. And to cross that twice is absolutely unacceptable. And no matter what your priorities were, we've been at this for 30 years to try to get this done. I think we predate this. I have not seen anybody. There's the first comment I've heard about somebody requesting this. You may have heard comments. Great. I'm up here for 30 years, and I can't get the last 225 feet connected to connect our city, a school area, the junior high school, to the rest of the city.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or concerns? Roll call, please.
Phony,
Yes.
Vorse,
Yes.
Carney,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Rosenberg.
Affirmative.
All right, this will move forward to next Monday, city council meeting.
Thank you. 2.3, whenever you're ready.
2.3 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with RCS Construction, Inc. for the Auto Court patching repair project, the amount of $598,321.35 based on unit prices. So this is a pavement preservation project on Auto Court. Anyone been out on Auto Court recently can see the disrepair it's in, especially from Highway 50 to really the first entrance in the Home Depot, which, you know, anyone who uses the Home Depot uses that also to get to the light, to make a left. So what we're going to see happen out there is really almost a complete reconstruct through that stretch. And then as you go north further, there'll be additional patching that's done on Auto Court in locations where there's, you know, concrete panels that are cracked and displaced. So extensive project with all the businesses starting to go in there, and I thought it was important to fix this road and make it better for not only residents, but anyone else utilizing those new businesses on Auto Court.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns from the committee?
We've been waiting on this, but we were waiting on the bids. Is that why it's taken so long? We were waiting for contractors?
So
we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about it a few meetings ago. We entered into an engineering agreement, the Oates and Associates, to create plans and specifications that we could then bid. So from that time, we've got a set of plans completed. We put it out to bid and received multiple bids from contractors.
Is this an overlay is what you're putting on this, or are you just tearing it all out?
It will just be a replacement of the concrete surface that's there. What's out there now is 6 inches of concrete. We are going to replace it with 8 inch of concrete any place we do a patch.
Any other questions from the committee? Pardon me, from the council? From the public? Roll call, please.
Vorse,
Yes.
Carney,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Rosenberg,
Affirmative.
Phony.
Yes.
All right, this will move forward to next Monday night also.
Thank you, sir. There is no other business other than public comments. Yes, sir?
I'd like to bring an issue to the committee and obviously subsequently the council on the need for additional speed limit signs in O'Fallon to meet a specific future need. Specifically, newer cars and trucks display speed limits in the heads-up display, in the instrument cluster, nav maps, but they often display the wrong speed limit. This often happens when you're turning from one street into a different street that has a different speed limit than the one you originated the turn on. Sensors in my 2023 BMW use cameras to read speed signs and display the signs. With the current number and placement of speed limit signs in O'Fallon, the speed limit displayed in my instrument cluster is the last one I encountered, and it will stay at that speed until I get to another speed limit sign. And my car will read it and change the value in my instrument cluster. The issue, the reason that this is a future need, pressing need, is that automated self-driving cars and driver-assisted cars are already in the American highway system, road system, different parts of the country. California specifically has them right now. Those vehicles are dependent on the sensors to read the environment that that vehicle is on. And that the vehicles the sensors use that in the artificial intelligence to control the vehicle. So drivers with cars like mine, I rely on those speed sensors too, because when their speed sign isn't there, my car is telling me what the speed limit is, right or wrong. The speed sensors do not use the Illinois rules of the road. That's not part of their programming. So my recommended action for this committee and for the O'Fallon City Council is to recognize this is a future road safety issue that affects all municipalities in the United States. The City Council should start planning for a future where most cars have these sensors, and for a future where automated self-driving vehicles and driver-assisted vehicles need to budget and program to progressively add speed signs to O'Fallon to the point where there's a speed sign in each direction on every block in the city for these future cars to use. I would recommend starting with all the blocks that surround every school in our city, so that the going into a school zone is we have that part usually pretty well done. But when you go past the school zone, my car stays at 20 miles an hour on US 50 if I pass that school that's just up there, until I get to a 35 on US 50 or something like that. So I would start with the schools, and so that when you're exiting the school zone, there is always a sign on every block around that school that says you're not in the school zone anymore and this is the new speed limit. But that's where I would start. That's just a suggestion. That's not a demand.
Appreciate your time.
Again, Dave Pfeiffer, 801 Deer Creek Road. I understand the study is complete that the city has contracted to have done in our area. Yes, no? Is the study done? We've heard that the study is complete.
Study is, yes.
Okay, can we get a copy of it for our review before it comes to the Public Works Committee? Citizens along Engle Creek would like to have a copy for our review before we present that to us.
So as we stated when we met previously, the intent is to sit down with those affected properties. Currently, right now, we're tentatively set for a date of August 27th, where that study will be presented, shared with everyone, so that questions can be answered and the findings can be discussed.
Again, can we see a copy of it before that? We'd like to have a reviewed copy.
Yeah, we could provide copies, sure.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to have a copy before we review that. And that date was set tonight. We've never heard of this date before.
Literally just got set last week.
Okay.
Confirming schedules with all the elected officials that want to attend and staff, and the engineer is going to be present
Is this
also.
a private invitation again, or is this for public consumption?
We'll hold it here, so it could be a public meeting, anyone can attend, but there will be formal invitations sent out to those 15 homes
Right, but the
on
last
south
one was a
side.
private meeting.
It was anyone from the public attended also.
That's not what was told. It was a private invitation.
There were people from the public there that weren't
They were,
invited.
because we invited them. That's how the meeting started. So everybody can come to this one. Thank you, and we'll be back for this study.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jeff. Are there any other versions?
Vern Muller, Ward 3. Appreciate the information. Hope I get another invitation. Hope it's open to the public. Now, on that money that you spent, I guess you spent the $50,000 for copper tubing that was going to be used for all these 520 some lines that you got to redo here in the city of O'Fallon on some of these homes, is that correct?
That is not what that's for. The copper is for new water services that are being installed at new homes or businesses.
So that's for just new services, not for repair services?
Correct.
Okay. A couple other notes were on the warrant reports that we weren't able to answer. This instrumentation service fee. Twice a month, it's hit last month and previous months also, for like $5,200 and $7,008 with totals like $13,000 here just for this previous month of July. We're going into August. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that's just take away the sludge that the system hasn't been able to do, or what?
You'll have to give me the exact, invoice number or the,
Instrumentation service is what it says on the warrant report.
and who the vendor is that we're paying for it. Like, I'd have to do a little research to let you know exactly what the payment would be
Okay.
for.
Well, in regards also then that tanker truck or something that you bought for $11,422 and change from Midwest Supply Company, a line tanker for, what is that for?
Again, Vern, you're gonna have to
Well,
get me these so I can do a little
Okay,
research.
so you got them now, then you can answer them next Monday. And then the other one was, I noticed on the warrant report that the contractor you had for doing the inline service on the sewer lines, 27,000 and change for LW construction, and then also the supplies that were mentioned. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Yeah, it was Midwest Supply. It also supplied you parts. I was just wondering if those were connected together as far as what the contractor needed to complete that job. If that was so, then you're piecemealing that job. The mistake I made was on the Woody's M Supply was for $94,000 was for that tanker. So that's what I'm interested in, what that tanker is to do for you and what it's going to try and complete. So,
Yeah, that was a replacement snowplow for that. We bought the chassis last fiscal year. This was outfitting it. And then the ones you're referring to with LW, yes, that is the North Trunk Line emergency repair that was mentioned to council at this committee. When we do emergency repairs like that,
so you can
we
piecemeal.
do separate it. So all that LW is providing is the track hoe, equipment and operator. Our own personnel are out there installing it. We're purchasing all the materials, and we do that really to save cost. If LW was to purchase the material, they would put an upcharge on it. We'd be paying more money. So by us purchasing it outright, we're actually saving money.
Okay, all right, I didn't thought maybe you were piecemealing because there was a contract portion on the job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other comments or questions from the public? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? We're done. Thanks, Jeff.